Hello, Internet. Brian here again. This is the final part of the Bobby Singer modeling little playlist thing that I have going on, and I'm just going to continue talking about what's going on. So I'm attaching the left hand to the arm, and what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out exactly where I want the fold of the shirt to be, and I wanted it right above, right below the elbow. Uh, just so I could get some good bending action when if this were to ever be rigged. And now I'm just cutting up the edge loops, not edge loops, amount of edges around, and trying to figure out how I'm going to be doing it. Now I realized that there was too many edges on the hand itself, but I liked how the geometry was working on the hand, so I decided to, when I was attaching it, to cut off the the edge loops inside of the fold itself. So I'm attaching the more important edge loops first, the edges and the vertices to the main parts, and the leftover vertices I'm going to cut off later on by using the split polygon tool, as you can see right here, and just moving across. And that is on the top and bottom of the actual, arm itself. And as I am looking at this, I'm realizing that was a decent idea. And for here, I decided that I didn't really have enough of the geometry in the front of the arm itself, so I decided to just, instead of closing it off, just attach those edge loops inside there. It wasn't a big deal, really, when I look back at it now. And merging those verts. When I do the merge vertices with there, I do a low threshold. The threshold I have is maybe 0.025, because I always know when I'm merging vertices, I basically stack the vertices right on top of each other. If I were to have the threshold anymore, it would be merging vertices that I did not want. So I just do a very low threshold for there. So this is me adding more geometry to underneath the arm, because I know when I ever do skinning, the underarm seems to suffer a lot. So by adding a little bit more geometry there, you have a little more wiggle room. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Excuse me, I just woke up, and sometimes you're either really tired or really hyper. And at this point right now, I am adding the extra geometry also for the elbow. And what I always like to do when it comes to the elbow portion, and if there's something underneath the elbow, not underneath it, below the elbow, I like to just have one edge loop right before that geometry, just so that I know that there is just a little bit of wiggle room. Wiggle, wiggle. Yeah, and now I'm just, it makes the life a lot easier. So most of the time when I'm modeling, I like to just be be safe, really. Safety first when it comes to modeling. It's like an after-school special. Yeah, now most of this is just a cleanup as far as trying to get everything, finagled correctly. There's my duplicate special, and now I'm messing with the crotch a little bit in the belly room, and trying to make it look just right. Yeah. I was realizing as a 3D modeler is that if you go up to a random person or something and you say like, "Hey, I'm just doing this for reference," and they understand that you're an artist, you can probably get away with anything. Yeah. I'm not gonna go into details with that because I don't feel like it. This is just me trying to finagle a little bit more, and as I'm looking at it now, realizing this is looking okay. I love that smooth polygon tool if used properly. If use it more as a just a massager instead of your main go-to. And helps clean up the spacing between edges a lot, but I don't like to truly rely on it. That's me just fixing up the ear portion. I always have problems actually with the head itself, as far as placement of the ear. While I know the ear is the top of the ear is at the same line as the eye line, but the placement of the actual ear and the head, I always like to put into the center of the head and then just move it back slightly. And but the roundness of the behind the head, it always looks weird to me when I know it technically is correct. So this is just me finagling a bit more. I really like that word, finagle. And the key that I'm doing in order to make the vertices snap to the actual grid line is that I hold down the X key, and by holding that down, and when you have a vertices or edge loop selected, it snaps to the nearest grid line. I love that slide edge tool as well. Comes in handy, especially when I'm trying to figure out a specific edge flow. And this is me just trying to get the ear to look quite right. I never like ears. And with this character, I decided to do a very, very simple polygon ear. And most of it would be settled in the texturing. As I was looking at the Lee Everett model that I found, that the ear, it was just textured in. It was a simple polygon shape. So this is me just fine-tuning a couple of things. And by adding that little slight bend inside of the fold of the shirt, it gives it a much more, I don't want to say realistic, but believable type of surface rather than just it being completely straight. And I added one more edge loop inside of the wrist area. And as I was looking at this, now I'm realizing that I don't quite like it, but it works in a certain way. So here's me, I think I'm about to do the eye portion. And eyes are always very tricky when it comes to a believable main character type of guy, because all the emotion that comes with a person, it really does come from the eyes, rather it be what is around the eyes or the nose, nasal passage areas and everything. Smart word number 4. I don't know. And I was trying to capture exactly how Bobby's eyes would actually be. And I was looking at Jim Beaver's eyes, and he has I don't want to say lazy eye, but his eyelids are very droopy. So I thought by capturing that, by looking at it plain view, I could tell that, hey, that's Jim Beaver. And this is also one thing I always like to stress with incoming modelers, is that try to keep your outliner as clean as possible, especially when you're trying to pass it off to another person. Because if you were working in a group and your producer or whoever you are working with, like a scene setup dude, he gets your models and tries to put it inside the scene, and when he goes into the outliner to organize it and he sees that everything is not named or everything is still in miscellaneous groups, he'll look at you like you are his nemesis. That has happened to me before on both sides, actually, where I had it where I was in charge of making the scene and I got handed to me parts
parts not named, and it was just hell when I had maybe 20,000 different things inside the scene. It was hell. And then when I was first modeling and also with a senior project, I handed the main dude, basically the director and the animation person, the models, and they looked at me like they wanted to shoot me in the head, and that you lose friends that way. So yeah, just remember that. The teeth portion, as I was looking at how the Lee Everett model was working, the teeth was very simplified, not a lot of geometry, and just two little things there. I actually did a little more finessing that there was actually in that Lee Everett model. At this portion, there's just a lot of moving around with the soft selection tool and just finagling. When you get the hard parts down, it really is just a little bit of finessing, and massaging. And yeah, this is me about to merge the two sides. I'm making sure that those vertices are on the exact same side, and then when I do that portion, I do the small merge vertex with low threshold. Yeah, it was like 0.025, and now my mesh is now merged together, and now I'm working on the very simplistic hat. And the hat, I didn't know exactly how I was going to go about it, because I never really made a truck driver hat before. Excuse me. So I decided to go with the right now it kind of looks like a flattened out cone head, and yeah, this is just me doing soft selection, molding, get everything looking quite right. Doing that portion, looking okay, and gonna do the brim of the hat soon. And eventually, I'm also going to do a extrude with the hat so that it has just the slightest thickness. When people are doing clothing, a lot of the time they like to have it where it's just the single plane. But I like to actually do one simple extrusion. It's like the whole thing, and just give it slight thickness. And by giving it that thickness, it actually gives it a more believable tone. So this is me doing the extrusion out, and man, yeah, he looks like a little kid with a baseball hat. It's a big ass hat. And what I'm doing here is getting ready for it to be actual hair. And with video game modeling, a lot of the time you see that the hair is actually polygon hair instead of it being with the actual physics engine and everything. And that's the same way that it was done in the Telltale games, from what I can tell, is that they have maybe 2 or 3 versions of the hair textured out, and they have a polygon plane as the actual hair follicles, and then they post that all over the head in their own respective way. So this is me separating out and doing that extrusion so that I get just a slight thickness. You see me moving around, it's just to look at the model correctly, but also out of boredom. So what I did for this one, instead of extruding out, I actually just copied it, and then scaled it down a bit, and then I'm going to merge it. That was just a on-the-fly technique that I thought of. to give it just the slightest bit of thickness to make it more believable. And using a pen polygon tool over here, yes. Yeah. And for now, I'm just merging them back and deleting the history and finagling a little bit more. I don't like it ever when I have all the sides completely straight when it's an organic form. In this case, the hat, where the sides, it wouldn't all really be completely straight except for maybe the brim of the hat. The other sides of the hat would be slightly bent. And this is me also doing the rest of the hair. And like to take a hair as just being layered out. Like if you ever see long hair when it's done in layers, really, and you don't really need a lot of layers because underneath all that hair, you're gonna have the color of the hair as well, textured onto the head. So this is just another layer, and trying to get it so that it's around the ear. And then using this technique, I group all of them together, duplicate it, and then scale X in the 0. I do -1 in the scale X so that it's exactly the same on the other side, and then freeze transformations, and then delete history. Then the normals and everything should be perfectly fine. This is me going back into the outliner and putting in all the naming conventions that I want. And grouping all the hair into one simplified group, and smoothing the edges for everything. And this is pretty much done. I wasn't sure exactly. Wait, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, this is me doing the tongue. I just wanted the simple thing inside of the area. So yeah, that's just when you know exactly what you're going to be doing with the model, you know how much of it you should be detailed out. So if you know that you're going to have a lot of dialogue heavy moments and maybe a close-up on the face is going to be the important part to model out first. So and also, if you have a shot where the camera's inside the person's mouth or something, you're going to have a very detailed mouth. Or you could also do two versions of it, where you have just a super detailed mouth, but you have another version where to save geometry where it's not so detailed, just to save time and money. So it's just prioritizing what you have. So this is Bobby Singer from Supernatural, and I think he came out okay, you know, as if he was dropped into the Walking Dead universe. And hope you guys liked it. Thank you.